Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of it's the table, but it's no table here today. It happens sometimes. There's a table in the spirit, and that's what's important, okay? But today we've got a wonderful show for you with me on the set. Well, they're not here on the set, but they're here in the spirit, and also they're here virtually. With me is Chimmy and Alex. Where are they? Hello.
Hi.
Are you guys ready for today?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you're on.
You sure?
Yes, sir.
Listen, don't hold back. This discussion should be fun. I've got 2 topics, so you guys will choose, yeah? And
All right.
we'll discuss both topics on air, then you guys will choose on air, yeah? The first topic is it possible to have platonic male and female relationships, Some brothers will say, this is my BFF and it's a sister. Some sisters will say, this is my BFF and it's a brother. Now, is it possible and is it encouraged? That's one. So hold on. The other option is single till I'm married. Where is the place of commitment in a relationship or courtship before marriage? So some people will say, well, I'm single till I'm married. The gates of heaven are open unto me until somebody puts a ring on it. So the question is, is that true? Should we think that way? Should we encourage that way for those who are of the right age, obviously? So which question should we do today, guys? Since we are on Skype, I'm giving you the option.
Woo! Thank you. We have choices in life. Woo! I don't know, Alex. What do you think?
Question 2 seems safer.
I don't want safe. I say question 1.
Wait, so she chooses question 1 and you choose 2. Well, they say ladies first, so if the lady wants question 1, then we have to oblige.
Wow.
Okay, she's dancing over there.
Ow.
All right, cool. So let's get straight to it. So, is it possible, first and foremost, for male and females to have platonic relationships where you hear things like my BFF, who is a male, my BFF, who is a female, and all that stuff? Number 1, is it possible? What do you think?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'd say that you don't necessarily only need to have platonic relationships with your BFF. So
You don't have to only have a platonic relationship with them.
Yeah, because your question would imply
Yes.
that you'd only have a platonic relationship with a BFF, which is your best friend. And while I have a number of males in my life that are close to me, I have male friends that are not that close to me that I have platonic relationships with as well. So I just want to kind of distinguish that.
Let's define platonic first and foremost.
According to our good auntie Google, she says, platonic describes a relationship that is purely spiritual and not physical. If a guy and a girl hang out all the time but aren't boyfriend and girlfriend, they'd describe their friendship as platonic.
So if a guy and a girl hangs out and it's just friendship.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, you see your auntie, I don't know what going there,
Don't come for my auntie. What?
But yeah, platonic simply means what? Intimate and affectionate, but not sexual.
Okay.
So I was actually going to read the second part of the definition.
Sorry.
No,
It does. It says platonic love and platonic friendships are marked by the absence of physical or sexual desire.
Mm-hmm.
So I was actually going to include that. So we can both be right, Alex. It's not a cat fight.
Oh, no, it's not.
All right, children. All right. I'm joking. So when they say platonic, what they mean is pretty much like having a friend who you don't see in a sexual way, or you don't think of as a potential partner, or right?
Mm.
So either in a sexual way or as a potential live erotic partner. Okay. Now, is it possible to have that with a guy and a girl being so close? Your opinions?
Of course.
Of course.
Wait, before we move on to that, sorry, I have a question. Before we move on to that,
You want to answer a question with a question?
no, it's a sub question.
Okay.
Okay, so we agree that a platonic relationship is one where there are no sexual desires, or you use the word erotic desires towards an individual, and you also used someone that you mentioned something about potential. Can you just repeat that? Is that potential desires or potential?
No. Okay. So either there's no, you don't see that person in a sexual way, or you don't have any like, you don't see them as a potential life partner or potential.
Okay, so right. So this is where I wanted to come. I don't know if I agree with the fact. I think you can be friends with someone platonically,
Okay.
while desiring to have a future with them, or
But then
them
that's
being
not
a life
platonic, though.
partner. I don't think that's mutually exclusive.
But that's not because like how can you have both in one?
Because it can be a desire. It doesn't mean that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And yeah. I'll say I think I agree with you, Jimmy.
I mean,
convenient. But yeah, I would agree with you. You can. I think the absence of desire, rather desire unfulfilled.
Yeah, but if there's the desire, then that defeats the whole thing of the platonic. Obviously, you are trying to have restrictions in place to enable the situation to become platonic. But then, deep within you, it's not really platonic, is it? Because there may be ulterior motives and whatnot.
Yeah, and I can see where you're coming from there, Jeremy. But and that's where I'm looking at your definition, because if according to your definition, the definition you gave, then it's rare. It would be rare, right? Because you can have certain desires that you're not able to fulfill all your desires, are you? And there has to be some elements of self-control according to desires that you may feel. You know, we have various different desires on various different occasions. You get it? And not all of them can we kind of implement.
Okay.
Right?
Alex, let me ask you a question. Do you feel like there is pressure on young men of today, right? For example, if you get close to a sister or a female and she's, let's say, good looking, or, you know, she passes the mark, you know, that kind of stuff. Do you feel like there's pressure, right, from obviously friends and, you know, to either get close to them with that kind of motive, with a non-platonic motive, you know? For example, like we are in a certain age group, for example. So you get close to, you have a friend of the opposite sex and whatnot. And do you feel like there's pressure to having to turn that into a non-platonic and more of an erotic situation? For example, get married, do you get it? To start seeing them.
Can it not be romantic? Sorry. No. The question was for Alex, sorry.
Sorry, let me change the word. Not erotic, romantic, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
It's eros. It's a kind of love. Anyway, carry on, sir.
Yeah. No, I don't necessarily go down that route.
Chimi's coughing. Why are you coughing?
No, sorry, that was actually a genuine clear. Sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I don't feel as though I have to go down that route. To answer the question simply, no, the pressures don't exist for me.
For you?
Oh shit! The pressures don't exist.
For you?
For me.
For you, sorry, for you.
Okay, wait, how about you, Chimi? Do you feel like as a young lady in a certain age range, you know, coming to a certain place in life, do you feel like, you know, there's that pressure, you know, parents are asking, friends are asking, uncles are asking, aunties are asking, grandparents are asking for their do you get it? Their great grandkids, you know, all that stuff. Do you feel like that it pressurizes you and alters how you see your males that you have to, you know, around that age, who could be desirable according to your own terms of desire, who fall into that bracket as well? Do you feel pressure to see them in that light?
Capital no.
Oh, really?
No, I don't actually. And I understand that that won't be necessarily the most popular opinion, because I do acknowledge the fact that there are young women that not only receive pressure from family, relatives, friends, society, the uncles and aunties in church that I don't even know where they came from, who sent them, you know, they just, these beings, they just manifest from all directions and suddenly want to suddenly have an input in your life timeline and where you should be. The kind of person that I am, that hasn't been my case. So first of all, I think I have the kind of personality that I don't actually get those questions too much. So a lot less than people would expect. I get the questions a lot less than people would expect. But that could also be because a lot of people think I'm a no-nonsense person. So it'd usually be people that are, quote unquote, allowed to ask me that question that might ask me. So I'm talking about like non-relatives, for example. But then when it comes to family, I've actually been really, really fortunate in a sense that I remember when I was in my very early 20s, I think I just graduated and I was going abroad to work for a year. And I remember one auntie at church was like, oh, she baby is what she'd call me. She's like, I'm giving you 1 year to come back with a husband. I was like, oh. I was like, please, I've only just graduated. I'm trying to, get my career sorted, because I want to be able to bring something to the table. But she was being serious. And when I got back, she was kind of like, where are we with this marriage thing? Do you know that my parents were never like that? My parents never put that pressure on me. So for them, it was very important that I got my education. Not only did I get my education, but I got my career level that be happy with in joining myself with someone. So even now that, quote unquote, I think across the board, I'm classified as being of age to get married, my parents are not pressurizing me at all. So I've not had to deal with that at all, especially because as well, while I might not be married yet, I'm still progressing and advancing in other aspects of my life and achieving things in other areas of my life. So I guess those things kind of compensate, and I don't actually get pressurized.
Okay, Alex, how about you? Do you, obviously, aunties, uncles, all these ones, like, we can't wait. I remember going to a wedding in your church.
Yeah. I think I remember that too. I think I remember that too.
And you were best man or something, and then
yeah, I remember.
Your pastor made a comment about her desire, her prayer to God, actually, not desire, her prayer to God for you, for your future. And she mentioned a couple of things. Now, do you get that pressure? And as the time goes and age increases, Jesus is Lord, increases. Do you feel like you have to then rush into something, or you have to, like, what does that give you any pressure?
Not at all. Not at all. I think I do get the comments from everybody and his dog. Yeah, my pastor drops it on me a lot. I hope she thinks I'm gonna buckle under the pressure.
You shall not be moved.
I would move.
You're on Christ, the solid rock.
Yeah. So I do get the comments, but yeah, it doesn't really affect me. I'll do it in my own time. It doesn't really affect me at all. I think to be fair, the perception is that the pressure tends to, this is my perception. I may be incorrect, Jimmy, but it does seem as though it does get to females rather. A lot of females that tend to get to a certain age tend to get a lot more than men. Because I remember that day you're referring to Jeremy. Yeah, I remember the day you're referring to Jeremy, and I get it a lot from my pastor. I get it a lot from her, and I feel as though because she has her moments. I love you, Mama.
I was gonna say she's probably watching, so be careful.
1 second, you must. The next second it's no, let nobody rush you, let nobody force you. So, yeah, but for me personally, I can get it.
No, go on. I'll ask later.
No, don't worry. I mean, there. Go.
I was going to ask you, without kind of like throwing numbers out there or being too specific, saying in the window of 6 months, how often would you say you get asked about it, regardless of whether it's family, relatives, church people, their cats, their dogs?
Yeah. In the window of 6 months. Whew. What about a few hundred times?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 100%.
That's
100%.
a bit.
Listen, every time, as soon as I see a relative, as soon as my dad claims that, if you're not married, you're not mature. So pretty much every time I see him, it's the topic for the conversation.
Okay.
But do you believe that though, that there is a certain level of maturity that you get with marriage? Like you come to that a certain level of maturity that you come to once you're married. Once you're married.
It depends. I think for females, they tend to have that maturity and responsibility levels already. I think for males, because we haven't kind of experienced anything like that, it does tend to do something to you, or it can do something to you. But it also does depend on the individual, isn't it? Because some men are completely irresponsible in marriage, as well as some women. So it depends on the individual, doesn't it?
Interesting.
I kind of disagree to that. While I like to take the glory on behalf of women that we're very mature, all I'll say is I think that marriage, in the same way being a parent, brings a certain level of, or it leads to a certain level of responsibility, which therefore takes you to a certain level of maturity. If that makes sense. There's certain things you just will never know until you are actually in that position, regardless of how mature you are, regardless of how wise you are, regardless of all that stuff. I just think that until, there's a difference between, I don't know if you drive, but there's a difference between passing your theory and passing your practical. Yeah. Yes, they can teach you all the things in the book, but until you're now on the road and you have other factors that are on the road, you just never will know until you get there. So I slightly have a different opinion to you on that one. Sorry.
So it's like you then obviously buckle up and take responsibility once you're put in that situation. That's pretty much what you're saying.
Yeah, it's just certain things. For example, my brothers are a lot younger than me, and some people have said that because of the age gap between my brothers and I, actually, one would argue that I'm more prepared for motherhood than certain people that, for example, are the only child, or there's a very small age gap between them and their siblings, because in raising my brothers, while I can see where they're coming from, but there's just certain things that I will never know, I'll never have to step up to, and I'll never be you just can't even really prepare for it. So for example, your child crying in the middle of the night, in as much as involved in raising my brother, that element was never part of me really. So that level of maturity and that experience you will not get until you're actually in that position. So same with marriage.
Okay, interesting. All right, guys. Well, sorry, time is fast running, and this conversation is getting sweeter and sweeter. So, okay, I feel like sometimes there is this thing. Obviously, the two of you have explained that you are exempted from it. But there is this thing where it's like guys don't know how to have healthy relationship with girls or ladies, and ladies, some ladies don't know how to have healthy relationships with guys, and society has programmed them in such a way that they only understand each other for only one purpose. Do you get it? So a guy sees a lady only in one certain way, apart from his parents and his mother, his sister and whatnot, but every other lady that he sees it in a certain way, right? Now, what are your thoughts, briefly, like 2 minutes, what are your thoughts on that, and how do you think that such a thing can be corrected?
You want to go first, Jim?
You know what, Alex? I was waiting for you to start talking. I'll be like, chivalry. I can't lie. Thanks, Alex. So I think that, so as I said right in the beginning, I do absolutely believe that men and women can absolutely have platonic relationships. I don't believe that you have to cross any certain lines that don't need to be crossed. And this is across the board. This is Christian, non-Christian, whatever faith, no faith, whatever the case may be. That's just my opinion. And I think that where individuals, men or women, aren't able to have healthy platonic relationships, I think it's actually an indication of certain insecurities and something that they're looking for that they didn't have before.
Okay.
So and it's a tricky one, right? Because I remember growing up and I had friends, male, female, cat, dog, everything in between, right? And aunties and older women in my life would always be the way that I was moving around. And that's just like, I just didn't understand what the problem was, because as far as I was concerned, you're my friend. I don't care your gender, background or whatever. But to them, it was a perception that perhaps, oh, you know, I'm moving a bit fast, or there might be more than what that I need. And it was actually from a place of protection. And I've come to realize that actually, where you see that in people are not able to have healthy platonic relationships or relationships with healthy boundaries, there's just something that they're looking for that is deeply rooted, something that they might not even know, or they might not even realize that it's actually, I don't want to call it an issue, but a thing. So it's something that really each individual needs to look inward and see, okay, what is it? Why is it that I'm not able to just have someone in my life of the opposite sex that I'm able to say, oh, hey, how are you doing? Do you want to grab a coffee? Do you want to grab something to eat, whatever? And it is literally just that. So yeah, it's a point of self-reflection if you find yourself being that person. But Jesus loves us all.
Alex?
Yeah, I agree to a degree. But I also think that, you know, there are certain situations that we're different. So male and females are different. So essentially, if I've seen situations whereby maybe I've been speaking to a female and it's strictly platonic from my end, all right? But I couldn't read the signals that other females could read that were suggesting that it wasn't platonic.
And don't open a can of worms here, please.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, you know, I've learned from experience. You know, as you were saying, you know, similarly to what happened to us as kids, where our parents or adults tried to distinguish the fact that you were a male and you were a female, and you know, go and play with the girls, go and sleep with the boys. You get it? Like we were separated. I think it's a similar thing. I think especially once you get married. I mean, once you get married or you're dealing with somebody that is married, cut it off. There's no platonic relationship.
So by dealing with someone that's married,
even in terms of being a friend, I think there's certain the boundaries have to be not even just explicit, they have to be massively clear. And the respect element, if I'm dealing with a married couple or somebody that's married, I'm dealing with the married couple. If I'm not dealing with the married couple, I'm leaving you alone. You know, and that's how it has to be.
Okay.
And that's
excellent. Okay, on that note, we're out of time for today. But
this was nice.
There has to be a part 2 to this, because I feel like there are so many different angles and different things within this topic that we can, you know, discuss and bring out. You know, for example, like you just brought up, in the marriage, having friends of the opposite sex and whatnot. So I think that's something that we need to explore, because there are many people who may be in that situation and obviously wondering what to do, you know, from the Christian point of view. So thank you very much, guys, for joining me today from the comfort of your homes, on the table, the invisible table. And we will be with you again soon. So thank you for joining me. And for you at home, thank you for joining us. And then stay tuned, because we will be back next week with more interesting topics. Don't you go away from Love What UK. Stay and watch us and be happy and be blessed. Bye-bye.